Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you would, please continue to enjoy your dinner as the program goes on. I'm just going to make a few remarks. Can you hear me in the back? Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and kick the program off here. As I'm making comments and introducing our guest speakers, please continue to enjoy your dinner. First off, I want to tell you, my name is Chuck Smith. I'm the chair of the Semper Fi Society of St. Louis, and this is our 20th iteration of this event. I want to thank you for coming out tonight. I want to give a special thank you again to St. Albans, to their members, and to their staff for hosting us. Out of the 20 years, this is our 12th year with St. Albans, and so we're very, very thankful and grateful for them for allowing us to be here. So thank you to St. Albans. So the Semper Fi Society of St. Louis is a not-for-profit. Really what we are is a fundraiser, and we raise money for the Semper Fi Americas Fund, which is a national organization that helps our injured Marines and veterans. And it started back in 2004, I believe it was, as Marines were coming back from Iraq that were severely injured, and there was a need to help them and their families as they went through the rehabilitation process from the wounds that they received. And so through the generosity of many St. Louisans and corporations here, over the last 20 years, we've given in excess of $4 million to the Semper Fi Americas Fund, and that's in large part to many people that are in this room tonight. So thank you to you for all you've done. I'd like to recognize some of our sponsors that have made this possible. So at the title level, we have Drury Hotel, the Kevin and Amy Karavic Foundation, and Stiefel Investments. At the Medal of Honor level, we have Jim and Pat McAtee and Jim and Marianne Switzer. At the Navy Cross level, we have Purina. At the Silver Star level, we have Christopher and Eleanor Moran and Gray Bar. At the Bronze Star level, Wells Fargo Advisors, Fish Window Cleaning, Slay Industries, Munganast St. Louis Acura, and CSI Leasing. I want to thank Brian Caveney of Armstrong Teasdale for sponsoring the cocktail hour. I think that's the best thing to sponsor. Everybody gets happy with that one. So I don't know where Brian is, but thank you. There he is back there. And then we have our in-kind sponsors. We've got Bender, Garlic, Hurd, Greenleaf, PBR at Ballpark Village, Anheuser-Busch, and St. Louis Digital Media. So thank you for being part of our organization and making that happen, and thank you to all your generosity. I also want to recognize some special people we have in the room tonight. The first one I want to recognize is Chief Warrant Officer 3, Mike Drake. He's a battalion gunner. He is 2 combat extra ribbons, served multiple combat tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. So I want to welcome you. He came in here from Alabama. I want to recognize Lieutenant Colonel Tom Post. I'm not sure where you are, but he is a Vietnam pilot. I believe he's got 24 air medals for actions that he did in Vietnam. Gary Post, I'm sorry. And I want to recognize a Marine who's sitting at the end of our head table here, Master Sergeant Harry Hope. I was going to say he is the most, the longest serving Marine, most mature. I was going to say most experienced. He's most experienced Marine. Master Sergeant Hope is a survivor of Korea, and more specifically of the frozen Chosin. He fought at the Chosin Reservoir back in the 1950s. So, sir, welcome. We're glad to have you here tonight. We also have a number of Gold Star families here. For those of you that might not know it, A Gold Star family is a family who has a member of their family who paid the ultimate sacrifice serving our nation. If you are comfortable, those Gold Star families, would you please stand so we could recognize you? Thank you for your service, and thank you for the sacrifice that your family has made. I also left out I called him out, but Kurt Munganast of St. Louis Acura. He is also an Iraq war veteran. And Kurt, where are you? Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a great supporter of ours. Okay, with that, I'm going to get over to our injured Marine. I'm going to say a couple words about our guest here, Corporal Todd Nicely. One thing that's different this year, and this is what makes this year partly special, is that Corporal Todd Nicely is a local St. Louisan. He grew up in the Imperial area, right next to Arnold, joined the Marines. He actually joined, I think, a little old, right? He's 26 years old when he was a corporal and a squad leader in Afghanistan. And his bio is in your program. You can certainly read it. But what I want to point out is that there's a couple of things that stuck out to me when I read it and just in talking to him. When Corporal Todd Nicely stepped on the improvised explosive device that severed his limbs, two things come to mind. One, he was leading from the front. He was a squad leader, and he was the first one in line in his squad. He wasn't afraid of where he was going or what he was doing, and he knew that he was doing it with a purpose. The second thing is, if you read his bio, you'll see that he had the presence of mind to know that he needed to survive, and he had the presence of mind to know that he had to continue to lead and instill confidence in his Marines so they could get the mission done and get him out of there and get him home safely. He is one of 3 service members out of all the services in both Afghanistan and Iraq to have survived after losing all 4 of his limbs. One of the interesting things that I have noticed with meeting Corporal Nicely today, he is one of the most humble, genuine human beings. I am proud to call him a brother Marine and just thrilled that we can have him here. So please give a warm welcome to Corporal Nicely.
I don't know if I hold on to it, but
I'll
figure it out.
I'll hold it for you.
There we go. You got it. All right, you can all sit down, please. Thank you. That's too much. I'm actually humbled and honored to be amongst some of these Marines and veterans in this room, including the Vietnam War era veterans. When I was younger, at the age of 16, that's how I knew I wanted to join the military. Was I watched a movie, which most of you know, called Saving Private Ryan. And I watched these men storm the beaches, and I thought, what audacity and nerve to have to know you might die and do something like that for a country to have freedom. And I thought to myself, I owe it to them to continue that. So I joined. Well, I wanted to join when I was in high school. Things happened, didn't work out. I did construction for 5 years, and the economy boost didn't happen like it was supposed to. It actually went down, and there was no work. So I did what I wanted to do in the first place, joined the Marine Corps at 23. Did one tour to Iraq, nothing really going on at the time, drawdown. I was in Rawa, and we were there more for political views and making sure the democracy was going on. Then we got back, and they said, Nicely, you're going to have your squad. And I was like, whoa, okay, I was a saw gunner. Now all of a sudden I'm in charge of 12 people. This is different. But at that moment, I knew that things were going to change in my life, and they did. On March 26th, after about 6 months in Afghanistan, as Mr. Smith said, I was walking point, stepped on the bomb, Luckily, none of my men were injured. I had them stopped 100 feet back. The blast knocked them all down, but they knew what to do to keep me alive. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here today. But that's not why we're all here today. We're here to talk about Semper Fi Fund. And when I woke up in that hospital bed, I had no idea where my life was going to be, where I was going to head, or what I was going to do. But Semper Fi Fund has been there along the way, the whole way since I've been there. I think Janine is her name. That's my case manager. She keeps in contact with me all the time. They're like a family to me, kind of like some of the other organizations that I work with. And I'm so glad they work together, because otherwise it would be a huge conflict for me. But without them, my family wouldn't have been able to come visit me in the hospital, because they wouldn't have been able to take off work. Semper Fi stepped in and said, you know what, we're going to pay your wages for the week so you can come out and see him. They have also helped me financially with owning a vehicle and being able to maintain that vehicle. When Christmases are hard and I have 3 children, 2 step, 1 biological, they have stepped in and made it possible and financial for me to be able to continue a life without being able to work. That's the huge part of Semper Fi, and I can't thank them enough, is that they're not one of those organizations that just let you go after taking you on a hunting trip and forget about you. They actually, sorry, sir, they actually follow up with you and make sure that you're okay. And going forward in this economy and the state of the world that we're in today, it's going to be having organizations like this around. Even though we're not at a state of war right now, it could happen again. And without them, we could fall apart. And that's what I like to say about the Vietnam veterans, is they've made it so good for the guys that had came home from Iraq and Afghanistan that none of this would be possible. So Semper Fi Fund, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for who you continue to help and are going to help in the future, because I foresee this sticking around for a long time. And thank you to anyone who has served this country or has donated to the Semper Fi Fund, because you make life easier for a lot of veterans who come home and don't know what to do. You make it easier for them to continue life and not give up on themselves. And to the Gold Star families, you're the true heroes, and so are your lost loved ones. I'm just a guy who got to come home. So with that, I'm going to leave you to your dinner, and I will let Mr. Smith come back up. But thank you very much for being here, and thank you for your donations.
Thank you, Corporal Nicely. I appreciate your words, and I really appreciate the sacrifice that you've made for our country and for our Marines. Our next guest I'm going to introduce is our guest of honor, General Joe Dunford. General Dunford was the 19th chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is the most senior military officer in all military services and reports directly to the president or the commander-in-chief. He had the privilege of reporting to 2 separate presidents. One was President Obama, the other was President Trump. He also was a 36th Commandant of the Marine Corps. And all these big titles, the one thing that I have learned from General Dunford is he is one of the most humble servant leaders that I've ever seen. I had the privilege of serving underneath him when he was the 5th Marine Regiment CO. And despite all the gains in rank that he had, he is still the same human being, the same great leader. He still has the same caring for our Marines and all our service members. And he thought it enough to come join us tonight in St. Louis to talk to us about the fund and to talk about all the service members and the tens of thousands of service members that through your generosity, we've been able to help change the trajectory of their life and give them a better life for the sacrifices that they've made. General Dunford, thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Todd said a minute ago that it was an honor to be with you all, and you'd probably expect us to say that, but it really is. And I got to tell you, it's extraordinary. I call these tribal engagements. When I'm away from the Marine Corps now, and when I'm surrounded by veterans and Marines, I call them tribal engagements. Because when my wife asked me, "How was it when you were out there?" I'm completely energized, having spent time around the people that are in this room. For the Gold Star families and our Korean War vet, in particular, an honor to be with you. I told this gentleman, when I fly home tomorrow night, I'll be with one of his counterparts, my dad, who turned 20 years old at the Chosin Reservoir, who's 95 years old, living where we're at now. And they actually served together at the same time. Didn't know each other, but it's an incredible honor for me to be here with you, and I know he'll appreciate that story. 20 years ago, 21 years ago to be exact, I was in the 1st Marine Division with General Conway. So I was one of his subordinate commanders. And virtually the entire organization from Camp Pendleton, California had gone to Iraq. And there was really nothing left at Camp Pendleton but just a few people. And we started having casualties and sending them back to Balboa Naval Hospital in San Diego. And when at that time, Marines and corpsmen got back to the hospital, they didn't have anything but the clothes in their back. They didn't have any toiletries. They didn't have any shaving gear. And their families were getting phone calls, cryptic phone calls that said, "Hey, your loved one is in the hospital. They've been wounded. It's in Balboa Naval Hospital." And they would fly from all over the country to San Diego. They didn't know where to stay. They didn't know how to navigate the system. They didn't know anything. And a group of spouses led by Karen Gunther and Annette Conway from St. Louis was one of them. A group of spouses literally sat around at a kitchen table and said, "This is unacceptable. We have to do something." So they ran around the base to the other families, and they ran around to some of the local people that lived outside the base, and they started informally, not part of a nonprofit, 501 at the time, but just going door to door saying, "Hey, can you give us some money?" And they started to take care of those Marines down in Balboa. So pretty humble beginning. And in those days, things like phone cards, rental cars, hotel rooms, that's the service they were providing. And then about a year later, we all went back to Iraq for a second time. We were there for a year, came home for about 60, 90 days, and went back for a second one-year tour. And it was about that time that General Conway came to St. Louis and said, "Hey, can you guys help us a little bit and start this event?" And I bring that up because the journey of the fund, and we just celebrated our 20th anniversary last year, the journey of the fund, you've been with us every step of the way. And I want to talk to you about the impact you've made. And certainly no one can talk about that better than Todd, but I want to reinforce what Todd talked about. From helping people bedside with basic services, we then went into a period of time when adaptive sports and other ways of recovery were taking place. But what the leadership of the fund realized is that for people like Todd Nicely and some of the other individuals who have been so profoundly impacted by their service, that recovery was never a destination, it was a journey for life. The impact of their injuries, of their wounds, we're going to be with them for life, and they were going to need help at various stages. And so we went through the adaptive sports phase when many of those that were wounded were in their 20s and 30s, and that was one of the ways to do recovery. But very soon, we realized that the true impact of the fund was the case managers that Todd talked about, the visiting nurses. And let me explain the model, because there's a lot of veterans organizations, some of whom we actually partner with, and they give us grants. I will tell you, there's not a single organization or a single initiative that's going to have that has the kind of impact that I'm going to talk about. The model for the foundation, for the fund, is we have a case manager for every single individual like Todd. That case manager, think about a general contractor in their life. They don't have to figure out if they need a house, they need an adaptive vehicle, they need something. That case manager is going to help them navigate that. To use a 20th century analog, it's kind of one phone number on the refrigerator. If you need help, it's that case manager. And that case manager is calling you, even if you don't call them. And then we have a visiting nurse. Everybody in this room has dealt with the medical system. Well, if you're a brain injured veteran or you're a catastrophically wounded veteran that's had as many as 120 surgeries, navigating the medical system can be crippling, and it's very easy to give up. You think about a traumatic brain injured Marine who picks up a phone, calls 1-800 and says, if you speak English, press 2. If you speak Spanish, press 3. Wait on the line. They're going to hang up and they're not going to get the help that they need. And so we decided a few years into it that we give people what I call a navigator. It's a visiting nurse. So you have now a partner of a case manager that can help with all aspects of life. And these case managers stay with these individuals for years. They go to the high school graduations and so forth. They know the families, they know the individuals. And the visiting nurse then can help navigate the medical system. And then we've got a sergeant major back here, Billy Squires, who leads our veteran to veteran program, which is kind of the third leg of the stool, if you will. And that's the veterans that can help other veterans and help them navigate, whether it's the bureaucracy of the Defense Department or it happens to be the VA, whatever the case may be. And it's that three stools that really makes the difference in these individuals' lives. And what I really want to tell you is that from that humble beginning, with hundreds of people coming back, literally needing toiletries and gear, we have 38,000 individuals like Todd right now under case management. 38,000. We have 100,000 family members that are being impacted by the fund. With your help, we have raised $500 million since 20 years ago. $500 million. Last year, we raised $60 million, and we've been progressing a little bit each year. And what's the impact? If we know now, about 3 years ago, those of us that are part of the family, and I should have mentioned Vanessa, who's here now, we knew these were my guys. So I knew when I took off the uniform, I already had seen it. I knew intuitively the impact that the fund was having, but we couldn't quantify it, right? We were just providing service and folks were doing better, and we knew that. And we went back 3 years ago, and we got somebody who really works with data, and they automated all the case manager notes for the last 20 years, all of them. And we started to be able to quantify the impact. And let me share a little bit of the impact. What we found was that if somebody was in the fund for 3 years under case management, they were 77% less likely to have suicidal thoughts. 77% less likely, and we can quantify that. They were 75% more likely to be employed and having a positive experience at work. And I could rattle off all kinds of other statistics associated with that, from relationships to homelessness and just overall good health. And so I feel incredibly thankful for what the fund has done for my family. I feel incredibly grateful to those of you in this room that have been part of that journey for the last 20 years and the 21 years of the fund. But I want to tell you, I personally, on any given week, go back and forth between euphoria and despondency about where we are. And why is that? I feel very good about the impact that we've had on the 38,000 that are under case management and 100,000 family members. I feel good about that. I believe right now that we're probably addressing, when it comes to the invisible wounds of war, we're probably addressing about 9% of those who could benefit from this kind of case management, because it isn't anywhere else. I mean, there are places to go to get a house, and we work with those organizations. There's places to go to get an adaptive vehicle. We work with them. There's places to go to get transition assistance. But there's not an organization that brings all that together, and in my mind, gives individuals who have made this kind of a sacrifice the highest quality of life they can have in the context of their injuries, in a connected network of people that they know are always going to be there. If Karen Gunther was here, our CEO and president, she would talk about it as an embrace for life. I call it a headlock. We get a guy like Todd, in the organization. We're never going to let him go. We're never going to let him go. He's always going to know we're here. And if we don't hear from him, we're going to call him and find out what he's doing. And so as we look to the past 20 years, I've started to say to the team, we should feel good about the impact that we've had. Everyone in this room should feel good about the impact that we've had. But you know what? We get no credit tomorrow for what we did yesterday. We don't get credit for the last 20 years. We get credit for the next 20 years. And so what we're in the midst of right now is a result of being able now to quantify the outcomes that we're achieving, the quality of life improvements that we're achieving, the health and wellness of the children of individuals who have made these sacrifices and the positive impact we've had on them. We're looking to the next 20 years and saying, okay, how can we do more and still maintain the high quality of case management, which is a secret sauce. So we can't scale this thing tomorrow. It's not just a question about money and scaling, because these case managers, we grew 6 last year. That's a big step for us, because these case managers are volunteers for 2 years. We know them before they even become a case manager. And then they're very specially trained so they can actually deliver on the kind of quality care that we expect out of these case managers. They're the glue of this organization. We give grants, yes. Todd mentioned the vehicle, but the real deliverable is the personal relationship of the case manager to the individual. That's what makes a difference and helps them, again, achieve that quality of life improvement and know that they're never going to be alone. And so over the next 24 months, we're in the midst of really kind of taking a hard look at trying to scale this thing and what can we do over the next 6, 8, 10 years so that we can get better at the, what I call the difference between the numerator and denominator, right? You can feel great about 38,000 until you realize that, particularly with mental health struggles, there's probably the denominator is probably closer to 350,000 or 375,000 that could benefit from this. We have in the fund, you should know, Marines, soldiers, sailors, airmen now, but of individuals like Todd, we have, of the last 20 years of war, 90% of those that are amputees, we have those individuals under case management right now, and in what I described as a headlock. The physical wounds of war have been much easier for us to track because we meet individuals bedside and we maintain that relationship throughout. A little bit harder for the invisible wounds of war because many times they manifest themselves years later. So, for example, one of the things that your generosity allows us to do is we do unit reunions. And Sergeant Major is a part of those. And we do those unit reunions. And yes, it's great for individuals who have served together in combat to be together. And they feel good about that. It energizes them, just like being around all of you has energized me here tonight. But more importantly, we can look them in the eyes and we can know who's doing well and who's not doing well. And that's kind of one of the major ways we're able to bring people in and find those who need some help and bring them in. And what we want to do over the next couple of years, because we've seen how profound these invisible wounds have affected these individuals, we want to chip away at that a little bit and do more. So my message to you is twofold tonight. One, I want to thank Chuck for his leadership at the Semper Fi Society of St. Louis. I want to thank all of those who helped put together this event. I want to thank all of you who have, over the past 20 years in particular, been here year after year in such a successful event. I mean, there's not many golf tournaments that are done for charity that last 20 years. Most of them peter out after a couple of years, and here we are 20 years, and you look around the room and you look at the numbers of golfers. It's a pretty healthy event and extraordinarily successful at fundraising. But what I'm going to ask you tonight is to think about the sacrifice that these individuals made and realize that what we were doing 21 years ago was filling a gap between what the government will do and what needs to be done. And those gaps still exist. As an example, if you're a 100% disabled veteran, you get somewhere about $49,000. If you're catastrophically wounded, it's probably maybe close to 100,000 max. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have somebody in your family who's handicapped, it's about 29 or 30% more for them to get by every year because of the expenses associated with that than everybody else. And you tell me, even in St. Louis, where somebody who's making $49,000 a year can have the kind of quality of life they deserve to have, having made the sacrifices that they've made. And I'm one of the ones who's standing here feeling very fortunate that people like Todd Nicely and others made the sacrifice they made, because that's why we could be out there in 73, 74 degree weather today, enjoying golf, enjoying life, going after it every day, taking care of our families. And there are a group of individuals, the Gold Star families included, who have made sacrifices for us, and we can't afford to forget that. And we can't feel good about taking care of the ones we're taking care of without thinking about the ones who still need our help. And that's really what my appeal to you tonight is, to sustain the help that we're providing and have provided to the 38,000, and help us at a pace that's responsible grow the numbers of individuals who are in case management, grow the numbers of individuals who can actually get after that higher quality of life and what I would describe as the quality of life that they absolutely deserve to have as a result of their service. So, Todd, thank you for being here. No one better than you can let the ladies and gentlemen in this room know what the fund is all about. He doesn't have to, he's here. You know why he's here? He's here so we can take care of other people in the fund. You know, he was like, yeah, I'll come down and do this. And wherever we go, there are individuals we're taking care of who volunteer to come out here and tell their story, because not because they want to tell their own story. His major concern as a former non-commissioned officer in leader of Marines, he's more worried about somebody else than he is about himself. He's not thinking about himself. He's thinking about other people. And it's the individuals like this that I feel personally, this is why of all the nonprofits that I could have stepped into when I left active duty, I mean, I obviously knew I would do something for veterans. I felt like there's really three groups of people that deserve our particular attention before we take care of anybody else. It's the Gold Star families and the solemn obligation that we have to remember their sacrifice. It's individuals like Todd Nicely who have been profoundly impacted by the wounds of war. And it's the children of those individuals who have also had that kind of sacrifice. And in ways we're helping all of those categories of people. And thank you so much for doing that. And once again, we get no credit tomorrow for what we did yesterday. So help us over the next hour here this evening. But more importantly, in the months and years ahead, please stay with us. And as I tell Marines all the time, Semper Fidelis, always faithful. It doesn't mean sometimes faithful. It doesn't mean faithful on Monday. It doesn't mean faithful on Friday night. It means every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what Semper Fidelis means. And all of you have been Semper Fidelis for 20 years, and I just ask you to continue to be. Thanks very much.
Thank you, General. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where the rubber meets the road. People ask, well, how much should I give? My answer is give till it hurts. Fletcher Lane is our professional auctioneer. This is where we begin our fundraising. Fletcher, the floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. How about a round of applause for Chuck? I want to thank Corporal Nicely, and especially a round of applause for General Dunford. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, how about these young men represent the 3rd Battalion, 23rd Marines right here in St. Louis? How about a round of applause for them? Yeah, yeah. And they are going to help me with Fund to Need. Now, they're going to spread out. We're going to have a couple down there, 3 over here. So go ahead and spread out. Here's the way it's going to go. Everybody's we've got these little cards on the tables. 2 over here. We're going to put 3 in the center. All these little cards are pledge cards. All you have to do is write down your name and put down the value that you're going to give. And our Marines are going to pick up those cards. My first level is $5,000. And I have great news. Gene and Nina Poole, who have supported the Semper Fi America's Fund for 20 years. They've been at this event for 20 years. They could not be here today, but they've pledged $5,000. So thank you very much, Gene and Nina Poole. Now, I've got a second $5,000, and that young man is sitting right here, and that's Jim Switzer, one of our committee members. How about a round of applause for that second $5,000? Thank you very, very, very much. So that gives me $10,000. Can I get a third bidder at 5? Can I get a third bidder at 5? Just raise your hand, Gary Kiesling. That gives me 15,000. Can I get a fourth bidder at 5? Get me up to 20. Fourth bidder at 5. Fourth bidder at 5. Fourth bidder at 5. How about a big round of applause for my $5,000 bidders? Come on. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My next level is $2,500. How about one bidder at 25? One bidder at 25, second bidder at 25. That's another 5,000. Can I get a third bidder? Third bidder at 2,500. Hold your hand up right there. Third bidder at 2,500. Can I get a fourth bidder at 2,500? Get me up to 10. Fourth bidder at 20. Fourth bidder at 2,500. Now I'm at $10,000. Can I get a fifth bidder? Fifth bidder? Fifth bidder? How about a big round of applause? That's another $10,000 for the Semper Fi Fund. Now, my third level is 1,000, and I have some great news. Right here in the center of the table, Kevin and Amy Karavik, committee members, they have given us $5,000. So what I'd like to do is see if I can get a $5,000 match. Can I get 5 by 1,000? 5 by 1,000? Can I get 1 by 1,000? 1,000? 1,000? 1,000? One bidder at 1,000. Can I get a second bidder at 1,000? Second bidder at 1,000. Third bidder at 1,000. Can I get a fourth? Can I get a fourth bidder at 1,000? Can I get a fifth bidder? 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 Fifth bidder at 1,000. That gives me $10,000 more for the Semper Fi Fund. How about a big round of applause for my $1,000 bidders? Thank you. Now, my next level is $500. And guess what? Jim McAtee, one of our committee members, and has been ever since the beginning, is putting up $5,000. Thank you very much, Jim McAtee. How about a round of applause? $5,000. Now, can I get 10 500s to match it? I'll take any 500s. One bidder at 500. Can I get a second bidder at 5? Second bidder at 500. Third bidder at 500. Fourth bidder at 500. Fifth bidder at 500. Sixth bidder at 500. Seventh bidder at 500. Can I get an eighth bidder at 500? Eighth bidder at 500. That gives me 4,000. Ninth bidder at 500. 10th bidder at 500, 11th bidder at 500. That's $5,500 with the match. 12th bidder at 500. That's $6,000 plus the match. 13th bidder at 500. Anybody else in it? 14th bidder at 500. How about a huge round of applause for my $500 bidders? Thank you. Thank you. How about $250? And we are a 501c3. It's tax deductible. How about it? $250? $250? One bidder at $250. Second bidder at $250. Third bidder at $250. Can a fourth bidder, fifth bidder, sixth bidder, seventh bidder, eighth bidder, ninth bidder, 10th bidder? That's another $2,500 for the Semper Fi Fund. Anybody else in at $250? At $250? At $250? $250? $250? $250? I got $250 here and $250 there and $250 on the wall. How about a $250 right here? How about a huge round of applause for my $250 bidders? Thank you. Thank you. You know, there you go, another bidder at $250. You know, our mission is critical. Our duty is clear. And, you know, we do support all branches of the U.S. Armed Services. My last call is $100. If you haven't raised your hand yet, would you raise it now at 100, at 100, at 100, at 100, at 100, at 100? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at 100. Raise them up at 100, 8, 9, 10 at 100. Gives me another 1,000 at 100, at 100, at 100, at 100, at 100. All for Semper Fi at 100, at 100. There's another at 100. Anybody else in at 100? Just fill out the card, hold it up. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. We just raised about $50,000 or $60,000 for the Semper Fi Fund. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, give me about 12 minutes, just about 12 minutes. On your table and in your brochure are the live auction items. They're all on this little sheet of paper. And we've got 6 items to sell, and you're going to love every one of them. They're totally donated, and we've got them on the screens. Everybody got a piece of paper? Everybody see what they are? Can you see what they are? And you can see them on the screen as well. So let's get underway. Let's Go Blues. 4 tickets for the January 16th, 2026 game against Tampa Bay in the Jameson Club. That includes all food and beverage. I got 4 tickets, Jameson Club, food and beverage, plus a night in a hotel right by the Blues downtown. Hotel night, you can use that anytime. 4 tickets for January the 16th. This is worth well over $1,200 for Semper Fi. Divide by 4 guys, 4 people, 2 couples, whatever. Can I get a $500 bid? 500? 500. Who wants to give me 600? 600 would have been 7. 600 would have been 7. Anybody in a 7? At 700. 700 would have been 8. 800 would have been 9. 900 would have been 1,000. 1,000 would have been 1,100. I got 1,100 would have been 12. 1,100 would have been 12. 1,100 would have been 12. 1,200 would have been 13. 1,300 would have been 14. How about 14? 14 would have been 15. 15? 15? How about 16? How about 16? 15 once, 15 twice. He shoots, he scores. Sold for 1,500. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. My second item, and you're going to love this, a night on the pitch. 2 home city tickets, 2 city Bluetooth pocket speakers, 2 city tumblers, and best of all, 4 tickets to a 2026 home game in the Together Credit Union. That includes all food and beverage, just like the Jameson Club for the Blues. And we've got a hotel night stay as well. A hotel night stay, a night on the pitch, and all the swag. How about 500? Can I get 500? 500, let's go. Let's go. 500. Come on, city pitch. I got 500, would have been 6. 600 on the wall, would have been 7. 700 would have been 800 on the wall. 800 would have been 9. How about 900 would have been 1,000? How about 1,000 would have been 1,100? How about 1,100? 1,100 would have been 12. Will you give me 12? Would have been 1,200, would have been 13. How about 13? How about 13 now 14? 13 now 14. Would have been 14. 1,300 once. 1,300 twice. Sold for 1,300. Way to go. Oh, way to go. My third item, baseball heaven. I've got 4 tickets. Next month, September the 16th, the Cardinals versus the Reds. We're going to put you in the National Car Rental Club. That's food and beverage. And best of all, you get to throw out the first pitch. Throw out the first pitch, 4 tickets, the center, all food and beverage. And we're going to give you a hotel room as well. A hotel room, throw out the first pitch, 4 great tickets. How about a $600 bid? Come on, throw out that first pitch. That's priceless. 600 would have been 7. How about 7? How about 7? I got 6, would have been 7. 700 would have been 8. Will you give me 800? Will you give me 800? 800? 800? 800? Will you give me 800? I got 700 right here. Who wants to give me 8? 700 once. 700, 800, 900. How about 1,000? Who wants to give me 1,000? 900 once. 900, $1,000 would have been 1,100. 1,100, 1,100, 1,100. She said it's okay. 1,100. She said it's okay. 1,100. How about 12? 1,200 would have been 13. 13. 1,200 once. 1,200 twice. 1,200. 1,200. Home run. Sold for 1,200. Thank you. Oh, thank you. How about wine time? My next item, Thank you, Gary Kiesling. Dinner for 6 included cocktails, appetizers, entree, wine, and dessert up to $600 value. Wine time at Sunset Hills Restaurant. How about 300? Can I get 300? Dinner for 6. 300 would have been 4. I got 3 would have been 4. 300 would have been 4. 300 would have been 4. 300 would have been 4. Anybody else at 4? 400 would have been 5. Will you give me 500? 400 once. 400 twice. 500. How about 600? How about 6? Would have been 6. Would have been 6. 500 once. 500 twice. All the way in the back, I got 600. How about 7? Will you give me 7? Would have been 7. 600 once. 600 twice. 600 twice. 600 twice. Sold for 600. Bidder number. Good job. Good job. Now, everybody in this room loves to play golf. I know that. I've got rounds at Belle Reve and Old Warson for 3 plus lunch. You pick the date. Matt Geeky at Old Warson and my member at Belle Reve, they are totally into Semper Fi. You pick the dates. Old Warson, where the Ryder Cup was played. Belle Reve, where the PGA plays. 18 holes plus lunch. How about a $600 bid? Can I get 600? 600. Who wants to give me 7? Would have been 7, 700, 800, 900. Who wants to give me 1,000? I got $1,000. Would have been 1,100. 11 would have been 12. Will you give me 12? 1,200, 1,300 would have been 14. 1,400 would have been 15. 1,500 would have been 16. Would have been 16. 1,500, 1,600 would have been 17. 1,700, 1,800. How about 19? How about 19? Would have been 19. Would have been 19. 1,900 would have been 2,000. 1,900 once. 1,900 twice. Anybody in it? $2,000. How about 21? 2,100. How 22? 23, 24, 25, 26, 20, 26, 27. Are you in at 28? 28, 29. Are you in at 29? Are you in at 3? Are you in at $3,000? 3,000 once, twice. That's a hole in one. Sold for 3,000. Sold for 3,000. Oh, thank you. And you know what else is in it? I got a $50 gift certificate to Sportsman's on Clayton Road. So way to go. Now, my last item is so special, I can't describe it. But Chuck Smith is going to describe it. And I know there are a lot of people who are going to be interested in this one. I'm going to turn it over to Chuck.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. By a show of hands, how many of you have ever attended a Marine Corps birthday ball before? So about maybe 20%. So that means I expect 80% of you to be bidding on this because you haven't been. This year is the 250th anniversary of the Marine Corps. Hurrah. It's going to be celebrated on November 10th, the birthday of the Marine Corps, originally November 10th, 1775. What makes this unique, though, is that this is the 100th year of having birthday balls. General John Lejeune, 100 years ago, declared that the 150th birthday of the Marine Corps and all subsequent birthdays should be celebrated with a birthday ball. The first birthday ball was held at Bellevue Hotel in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So tonight, we have 2 tickets to the birthday ball in the Bellevue Hotel in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You can't get these tickets because it's sold out. So even if you tried, you can't get them. The uniform for the night is going to be mess dress, dress blues, or black tie. Included with it is going to be 2 nights at the Westin Hotel in downtown Philadelphia, which I personally have stayed at. It's very similar to the Ritz in Clayton. Very nice hotel. It'll be the nights of November 9th and 10th. Also included is airfare from St. Louis to Philadelphia. It'll be on Southwest. And what I'm going to throw in on this is if it goes for $6,000 or more, I'll throw in 2 first-class tickets. Not on Southwest. So, please bid on this. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Thank you, Chuck. So how about it? How about it? It's worth a whole lot of money because it's sold out and you can't get there. How about a $1,000 bid? You're going to get 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. Would have been 1,100. Would have been 1,100. Would have been 1,100. 1,100 would have been 12. I got 1,200. Would have been 13. 13 would have been 14. 14 would have been 15. How about 15? How about 15? 15. Will you give me 2,000? 2,000. 2,000. How about 2,500? 25. Will you go 2,500? 2,500? 25. 25. I got 3,000 right there in the corner. 3,000. How about 3,500? Who wants to give me 35? I got 3,000 right here. Would have been 35. Would have been 35. Would have been 35. Anybody in at 35? I'll take 31. I got 3,000. Would have been 31. 3,000. Would have been 31. 3,000 once. 331. Would have been 32. 32. 32. 32. 33. 33. 35. I got 3,500. Will you give me 4,000? Will you give me 4? Will you give me 4? 3,500 once. 4. 5,000. I got $5,000. 5,000. 5,000 once. 5,000 twice. Anybody in at 55? I'll take 55. 5,000 once. 5,000 twice. Give this young man. Whoa! 5,500. We go 6. We go 6. If you go 6, you get first class airfare. We go 6. We go 6. $56,000. Whoa! 6,000 once, twice, sold for 6,000. Woo! Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to turn it back over to Chuck. I can't tell you how honored, humble, and proud I am to serve as your auctioneer as part of this event. It is phenomenal. But before I leave, would you please give a hand to these young Marines? These are the young Marines that are going to make tomorrow, as General Dunford said, they will make tomorrow happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Fletcher. Thank you, Fletcher. Thank you to the generous donors and bidders tonight. A very special thank you to 323 and RS St. Louis. I think we're going to go into the tournament winners now. Joe or Kurt? Joe's getting sleepy. Is what he's saying.
Yeah. As Joe gets a little bit older, he can't work these long days anymore, even though he just came back from vacation. But I gave him the night off. So everyone, thank you for hanging in there. I know it's a long day. You guys had a phenomenal day weather-wise. I'm looking at a few of my members that played in the Couples Club Championship last Sunday. It was not a phenomenal day weather-wise. So you guys had a phenomenal day, but regardless if it was 115 or 76 and low humidity, what a great cause. Kudos to all of you. I've been a part of many of these, this event here for many years at the club. So thank you all. Big round of applause for you guys. It's greatly appreciated. We really appreciate the fact that our members can give up a nice Sunday for this, and I don't think there's any arguing to give it up. So this is a very special event. So thank you. I don't know where Mr. went, but very nice on that 6,000. Good news, Kim. You're going to get your name called a couple times. Just giving you an FYI. It's not going to be worth $6,000, but it'll be a few dollars in the golf shop. But we'll get a little bit back for you. So it's been a long day. Thank you again. I am going to go over results. After I go over results, if you are a winner, please come down to the golf shop. We'll have the golf shop open till 7 or whenever we don't have any shoppers. If you don't want to use it or the winner is not here, we'll have it. They can use their gift certificate anytime. We had a handful used today from last year. They were little nervous that they were expired. Don't worry, they don't expire. We just put that on there so our POS allows the gift certificate to go through. So I will do this, and then you can go down and do some shopping. If you don't have a gift certificate, we still love for you to come down and shop. You feel free. And with the bags. Yep. Yep. Perfect. Also, if your name is called, the ladies are going to help us out here. We have gift bags that go along with your envelope. So please, if you are a winner, make sure you have your gift bag and the envelope from myself. So with all that being said, we're going to start with all of our contest winners. I'll flip back and forth between the two golf courses, and these are going to be $50 gift certificates to the golf shop. So we'll start right off the bat. Our straight drive on hole 16, Greg Ruckman. Congrats. And don't forget your goodie bag, please. To my left. Our straight drive over on Lewis and Clark is going to go to Paul Roberts. Congrats, Paul. Thank you. All right. Closest to the hole in 2 shots for the men over on Tavern Creek, 7 feet 6 inches. Mike Odenwald. It was 7-7. Now he doesn't win. Mike, is Mike here, or does somebody want to claim it for Mike? All right. We'll get that to Mike at some point. All right. Closest in 2 shots for the ladies over on Lewis. 10 feet 11 inches. Kim Seaball. Kim, come on. The goodie bag matches your shirt, Kim. How about that? All right. Closest 2 shots on Lewis and Clark. Inside of a foot, 8 inches. I'm assuming that one of the 4 players made the putt, hopefully. If not, we need to get a putting lesson on the books. Mike Robin. Mike. Mike has a look like he hits it close all day. Just walking with confidence. Nice shot. Congrats. All right. We did not have a winner for that. Closest to the hole on Tavern Creek for the men, 2 feet, Bill Blackman. Is Bill here? Nice shot, Bill. Get your goodie bag. Closest to the hole on Lewis for the ladies, Kim Seabaugh. I'm not going to tell Kim, I've been doing this for a long time. I don't say the distance for a reason, but it doesn't matter. You won. It's not my first rodeo making announcements. It's hard to get a microphone in my hand because Joe is usually hogging it, if you know my boss. That's not a blow. He knows. Joe's my second longest relationship, right behind my wife. All right. Closest to the hole for the men, 1 foot 6 inch, John Fagan. John still here? Okay, perfect. Don't forget to get a goodie bag for John right behind you, sir. Thank you. Long drive. The longest drive in a golf cart? You got it? We drove the golf cart that far. So it's pretty deep out there. Very nice. All right. Long drive for the women on Tavern Creek. Sarah Cribbs. Hold on, Sarah. Your envelope. There you go. There's more goodies. All right, real quick. It's a mystery. This doesn't happen often. The long drive on hole 11 for the men on Tavern Creek. We can't find it. So did anybody actually pick it up, stick in the golf bag like it's a ball retriever, and put in your... I'm not pointing fingers here. If you have it, just, I have no clue what name was on there because I never got to see it personally. Any? Okay. Well, if anybody has the information on it, it's okay. We can replay. Case closed. It's all right. No, it's case closed. We got it. These things happen. Wait. Oh. So was it even there when you guys finished though? Okay. And you were the last one to hit it? Does anybody, are we okay if this gentleman here, there was only one group left and we just declare? All right, come on up. Come on up. We need to know your name, date of birth, what you like to do for fun. In all seriousness, what's your name, sir? Scott? Wimmer? It was so far on 11 Tavern. You know, it climbs the hill and goes into the woods. Apparently it's up there. Anyways, note to self, I need to order another long drive post tomorrow. Anyways, all right, thank you. Appreciate it. We'll figure that out one day. Long drive for the ladies on Lewis. Chris Komnick. There you go. Congrats, Chris. Thank you. Long drive for the men on 11 on Lewis. We do have Matt Merge. Sorry if I butchered the last name. Matt. Matt here? No? Doesn't look like it. It's okay. Maybe he thought it wasn't going to be the longest and he left. All right. So I'm going to go to the results. We have 3 first place winners. We have 3 flights on each golf course, A, B, C. I always start with my C flight. If I do have a scorecard playoff, which I do have on one of each golf course, I have the C flight for the Lewis and Clark, and I have B flight for Tavern Creek. If we have a scorecard playoff, just so you guys know, if you're curious how we do it, we start with the number 1 handicap hole. If we continue to be tied, we go to number 2, number 3, number 4. I believe it might have been on Tavern Creek where I had 3 teams originally tied. Long story short, 2 teams went to like the 7th handicap hole. That's how we do it. We start with the hardest hole, continue to go to easier holes. That's how we break ties. Okay, so first place, C Flight, Tavern Creek, with a score of 66. Jason Cox, Tim Feeney, Clay Mason, Matt Lavery. Congrats, guys. Oh, gentlemen, we got your goodie bags. I forgot about goodie bags. Come on. They had an unfair advantage halfway through the tournament. I gave them a putting lesson on Tavern number 9, so I apologize to everybody else. I did miss it. All right, first place, C Flight over on Lewis and Clark. Scorecard playoff with a 67. We'll give it up to the team of Gary Post, Chris McKay, Tom Post, and boy, Shifty Shiftdecker. That's the name I have on my paperwork. So I'm going to go with that. First place, B Flight on Tavern Creek, scorecard playoff with a 63. It is the team of Mike Franz, John Crowder, Andrew Maurer, Tony Petey. Congratulations. Make sure that the girls are going to have goodie bags for all 4 of you. Yep, you got it. Good plan. First place, B Flight with a score of 63. I won't butcher any of these names. I've known them for quite some time now. Randy Cross, Rich Dawson, Jim Morris, Tony Schnell. Get your goodie bags. Yep. All right, I'm almost done. First place, A Flight with a score of 57 on Tavern Creek. Unfortunately, I did not have all names on the scorecard, but it is the team Trebo. Team Trebo with a 57 on. Any representative from Team Trebo? Okay, that's fine. She's Hey, don't forget, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I know. All right, my last one. Once again, thank you guys all. We got one more. First place A flight with a score of 58 over on Lewis and Clark. Steve Bass, Brad Dean, Jared Hawks, Gary Winter. And they're over here, I know that. They're over here. You want to hand them that for me? Thank you. Thank you all again. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.